Hello friends, I'm going to be reading again. So if you've been following along, I was in chapter 2 last time, and telemarketer called me and interrupted my video. So I'm going to finish chapter 2 and then go on to chapter 3. And yeah, we'll go from there. So, Mists of Avalon, almost to the end of chapter 2. Seriously. Telemarketers, man. Alright. We were up to here. I'm going to go a little bit back, though. Igraine felt as if the walls of a trap were closing around her. If you make so much of this, why do you not do this thing yourself? If there is so much power to be gained as the wife of Britain's war duke and high king, why do you not seek to attract Uther with your charms and bear this ordained king yourself? To her surprise, Vivian hesitated for a long time before saying, "Do you think I had not thought of that? But you have forgotten how old I am, Igraine. I am older than Uther, and he is not young as warriors go. I was 26 when Morgause was born. I am 39, Igraine, and I am past childbearing." In the bronze mirror somehow still in her hand, Igraine saw her sister's reflection, distorted, misshapen, flowing like water, the image suddenly clearing, then clouding and vanishing. Igraine said, "You think so? But I can tell you that you will bear another child." "But I tell you, there's no can." "You think so, but I tell you that you will bear another child." "I hope not," Vivian said. "I am older than our mother was when she died in bearing Morgause, and I could not now hope to escape that fate. This is the last year I shall take part in the rites at Beltane. After this, I shall hand on my office to some woman younger than I, and become as the ancient one, the wise woman. I had hoped that one day I would hand on the place of the goddess to Morgause." "Then why did you not keep her in Avalon and train her to be priestess after you?" Vivian looked very sad. "She is not fit. She sees, under the mantle of the goddess, only power, not the unending sacrifice and suffering, and so that path is not for her." "It does not seem to me that you have suffered," Igraine said. "You know nothing about it. You did not choose to walk that path either. I, who have given my life to it, say still it would be simpler to live the life of a peasant woman, beast of burden and broodmare in season. You see me robed and crowned as the goddess, triumphant beside her cauldron. You do not see the darkness of the cave or the depths of the great sea. You are not called to it, dear child, and you should thank the goddess that your destiny is laid elsewhere." Igraine said silently, "Do you think I know nothing of suffering and enduring in silence after these 4 years?" But she did not say the words aloud. Vivian had bent over Morgane, her face tender, stroking the little girl's silky dark hair. "Ah, Igraine, you cannot know how I envy you. All my life I have so longed for a daughter. Morgause was like my own to me, the goddess knows, but always as alien to me as if she had been born of a stranger, not my own mother. I longed for a daughter into whose hands I could resign my office," she sighed. "But I bore only one girl child, who died, and my sons are gone from me." She shuddered. "Well, this is my destiny, which I shall try to obey as you do yours. I ask nothing of you but this, Igraine, and the rest I leave to her who is mistress of us all. When Gorlois comes home again, he will go to Londinium for the choosing of a high king. Somehow you must contrive to go there with him." Igraine burst out laughing. "Only this you ask me, and this is harder than all the rest. Do you truly think that Gorlois would burden his men with escorting a young wife to Londinium? I would like to go there indeed, but Gorlois would take me thither when figs and oranges from the south grow in the garden of Tintagel. Nevertheless, somehow you must contrive to go, and you must look upon Uther Pendragon." Igraine laughed again. And I suppose you will give me a charm so that he will fall so deep in love with me that he cannot resist it? Vivian stroked her curling red hair. You are young, Igraine, and I do not think you have any idea how beautiful you are. I do not think Uther will have any need of charms. Igraine felt her body contract in a curious, frightened spasm. Perhaps I had better have the charm so that I will not shrink from him. Vivian sighed. She touched the moonstone about Igraine's neck. She said, "This was not Gorloy's gift to you." "No, I had it from you at my wedding, you remember. You said it was my mother's." "Give it to me." Vivian reached under the curling hair at Igraine's neck and unfastened the chain. "When this stone comes back to you, Igraine, remember what I said, and do as the goddess prompts you to do." Igraine looked at the stone in the hands of the priestess. She sighed, but she did not protest. "I have promised her nothing," she told herself fiercely. "Nothing." "Will you go to Londinium for the choosing of this High King, Vivian?" The priestess shook her head. "I go to the land of another king, who does not yet know that he must fight at the side of Uther. Ban of Armorica, in West Britain, is being made High King of his land, and in token his druids have told him that he must make the great rite. I am sent to officiate in the sacred marriage." "I thought Brittany was a Christian land." "Oh, it is so," Vivian said indifferently. "And his priests will ring their bells and anoint him with their holy oils and tell him that his God has made the sacrifice for him. But the people will not accept a king who is not himself vowed to the great sacrifice." Igraine drew a deep breath. "I know so little." "In the old days, Igraine," Vivian said, "the High King was bound with his life to the fortunes of the land, and pledged, as every Merlin of Britain is pledged, that if the land comes upon disaster or perilous times, he will die that the land may live. And should he refuse this sacrifice, the land would perish. I should not speak of this, it is a mystery, but in your own way, Igraine, you too are offering your life for the healing of this land. No woman knows, when she lies down to childbirth, whether her life will not be demanded of her at the hands of the goddess. I, too, have lain bound and helpless, with a knife at my throat, knowing that if death took me, my blood would redeem the land." Her voice trembled into silence. Igraine, too, was silent in awe. "A part of West Britain, too, has withdrawn into the mists, and the great shrine of stones cannot now be found. The avenue leading to the shrine is empty stone, unless the way to Karnak is known," Vivian said. "But King Ban has pledged to keep the worlds from drifting apart, and the gateways open to the mysteries, and so he will make the sacred marriage with the land. In token that if there is need, his very blood will be spilled to feed the crops. It is fitting that my last service to the mother, before I take my place among the wise women, shall be to bind his land to Avalon, and so I am to be the goddess to him in this mystery." She was silent, but for Igraine the room was filled with the echo of her voice. Vivian bent over and picked up the sleeping Morgane in her arms, holding her with great tenderness. "She is not yet a maiden, and I not yet a wise woman," she said. "But we are the three, Igraine. Together we make up the goddess, and she is here, present among us." Igraine wondered why she had not named their sister Morgause, and they were so open to one another that Vivian heard the words as if Igraine had spoken them aloud. She said in a whisper, and Igraine saw her shiver, "The goddess has a fourth face, which is secret, and you should pray to her as I do, Igraine, that Morgause will never wear that face." Alright, that's the end of chapter 2, and I'm going to stop here and start another video in a moment with chapter 3.